Hello everyone. So today we are going to discuss about design of a proportional derivative controller, a PD controller, and its equivalent, what is called a lead controller or a lead compensator using root locus. Let's start. So you can see here what are the characteristics of the PD compensator, right? So PD compensator, it will insert a pole. It will insert a zero at s is equal to minus SRC. Okay. What's the general transfer function? General transfer function is Kp plus Kd into S. Fine. Now, if I take Kp term out, the Kd outside the bracket, what will you get? Kd into S plus Kp by Kd, where Kp is the proportional gain and Kd is the derivative gain. Okay. So this can be written as some constant K into S plus ZC. Okay, where ZC represents the zero of the PD compensator, right? That's how we are getting this transfer function, K into S plus ZC. Now, what does a PD compensator do? It will improve the transient response. Okay, a PD compensator can improve the transient response of a given system, right? Now, we know that any response consists of two parts. One is the transient part and one is the steady state part. Okay, so transient part is that part which dies out as t tends to infinity. So that at steady state, we are left out with the steady state part. So this PD compensator is used to improve the transient part. Okay, the transient part alone. So when you add a zero, what happens? The root locus will get reshaped, because we have seen that adding poles will pull the root locus to the right side of the S-plane, and adding zeros will pull the root locus back to the left of the S-plane. Okay, but what's the issue here? Issue is that you will have to have active circuits, which includes op-amps, other power circuitries, etc. Okay, which makes PD compensator expensive. Fine, and not only that, there can be noise and saturation issues as well, which are not desirable. Okay, but in the case of a lead compensator, which is an approximate equivalent to that, that will also improve the transient performance. But the advantage is that we don't need any active circuits. We just can implement all these things with the help of passive elements like resistors, capacitors, etc. Right? But here, instead of having a simple zero, we have an additional pole also. Okay, so this lead compensator is an approximation to a PD compensator, and the purpose of both compensators are to improve the transfer response specifications. Okay, keep in mind, a PD or a proportional derivative will insert only a zero at S is equal to minus ZC, whereas a lead compensator will insert an additional pole in addition to the compensator zero. Okay, advantage is that we can implement a lead compensator with the help of suitable combination of resistors and capacitors. So let us take up one design problem in each PD as well as a lead compensator. Now, before we proceed further, just a brief recap of second order systems, right? We have taken a second order system, C of S by R of S, as omega n square divided by S square plus 2 zeta omega n s plus omega n square. This was the standard type 0 underdamped second order system. Where were the pole locations? Pole locations were at minus zeta omega n plus minus j omega n into root of 1 minus zeta square. Okay, so in the S plane, we have represented that like this. Okay, so this is minus zeta omega n, and this is j omega n into root of 1 minus zeta square. Okay, from this we have defined what is peak time. Peak time was pi by omega n into root of 1 minus zeta square. That means pi divided by imaginary part of the pole will give you the peak time. Okay, so while settling time was given by 4 by zeta omega n. What is 4 by zeta omega n? The real part of the complex pole. Okay, so 4 by zeta omega n was our settling time for 2% criterion, and peak time was given by pi by omega n into root of 1 minus zeta square. And what was the overshoot? Overshoot was e raised to minus pi zeta divided by root of 1 minus zeta square. So these are called transient response specifications or time domain specifications. Okay, so it is obvious that settling time is given by 4 by zeta omega. Okay, now consider an S plane like this. This is the S plane. Okay, so there are vertical lines, right? What do these vertical lines represent? What do these vertical lines represent? Okay, so this is one real part, this is another real part, and the real part, and so on. So what was our settling time? Settling time was 4 divided by zeta omega n. That means along a given vertical line, my settling time will be constant. Okay, along this vertical line, wherever I place my pole, settling time will be constant. If I change the vertical line, settling time will be different. Again, a different settling time. Okay, that is what is shown here. Okay, so along the S-plane, vertical lines represent constant settling time lines. Okay, so that means the settling time will remain constant. Okay, so here you can see there's a system which has a pair of pole at 1 1, 2 2, and 3 3, a pair of poles, pair of complex conjugate poles. Okay, so wherever be the pole locations along the same vertical line, it is giving almost the same settling time. Okay, envelope is same. That means settling time will be more or less constant. Okay, because settling time is determined by the real part, and real part is nothing but 4 divided by theta omega n. So long as theta omega remains the same, that means the vertical line remains the same, your settling time must also be a constant. Similarly, what do horizontal lines represent? Horizontal lines represent constant peak time lines. Why constant peak time? Because what was peak time TP? TP was pi by omega d, or pi by omega n into root of 1 minus theta square. And what is omega n into root of 1 minus theta square? It is nothing but the imaginary part of the poles. Okay, imaginary part of the poles. Okay, so that means constant horizontal lines in the S-plane represent constant peak time lines. Okay, so you will get a response like this. As you have a pair of pole 1 1, you will have this response. Okay, now when you are moving along the same horizontal line 2 2, now what happens? Peak time will remain the same, but other aspects will change. Okay, so horizontal lines will give constant peak time lines. Now what about radial lines? Keep in mind, how do we find damping ratio zeta? Damping ratio zeta was given by cos theta. Okay, so this is theta 1, this is theta 2, and so on. Okay, so radial lines represented constant damping ratio lines. And damping ratio, what is the overshoot? Percentage overshoot was e raised to minus pi zeta by root of 1 minus zeta square. So constant damping ratio lines means nothing but constant overshoot. Okay, so radial lines represent constant overshoots. Okay, now what will concentric circles indicate? What will be the concentric circles? Concentric circles will indicate constant omega n, undamped natural frequency. Okay, so this is omega n1, this is omega n2, this is omega n3. So wherever your poles move along this particular radial line, your undamped natural frequency omega n remains constant. Okay, so in short, vertical lines represent constant settling time lines, horizontal lines represent constant peak time lines, and radial lines represent constant overshoot lines. And concentric circles in the S-plane represent constant omega n values. Okay, so the point is that each and every point in the S-plane corresponds to a particular transient response specification. Okay, that's the point, right? So now we will take up 1 or 2 problems on compensator design. So assume that we are given a system like this. You are given a problem like this. Design a PD compensator. Design a PD compensator. Design a PD compensator to yield 16% overshoot. To yield 16% overshoot with a threefold reduction. With a threefold reduction. With a threefold reduction in settling time. In settling time for the system given below. For the system given below. Okay, so we have to design a PD compensator to yield 16% overshoot with a threefold reduction in settling time for the system given below. So we are given with a system like this. k divided by s into s plus 4 into s plus 6. Okay, so we are given a system like this. Fine. Now what next? So you see here, what is the odd of the plant? Odd of the plant is 3. Okay, and these specifications, rise time, peak time, etc., are defined for a standard second order underdamped type 0 system. Okay, so that means even though this is a third order plant, we have to find out the dominant pole pair. Okay, what do you mean by dominant pole pair? Dominant pole pair are those pole pairs which are closer to the j omega axis. Okay, so even though there are 5 poles in a system, right, there will be always one or a set of dominant poles, okay, which will dominate over other poles. Fine. So let us try to find which are the dominant poles. For that, some condition is given, 16% overshoot. Okay, so what we will do first, we will draw the root log plot for the given system. Okay, so it is k divided by s into s plus 4 into s plus 6. So the sigma j omega, we have a pole at 0, one at minus 4, and one at minus 6. Okay, we know what will be the root locus structure, root locus shape. We know that there will be one branch tending to minus infinity. One will start from here, one will start from here. Okay, that means there will be a breakaway point, and root locus will be something like this. Okay, so now what's the next step? We have to find the approximate second order equivalent of this plant, this closed loop plant. Okay, keep in mind, open loop poles are fixed. Okay, root locus will give you the closed loop poles as gain case varied. So our aim is to find the second order equivalent for this given third order feedback path, feedback plant. Okay, we have to find an approximate second order equivalent to this given third order closed loop configuration. Okay, for which we have to identify the dominant pole. Okay, now for that we are given some clue. What is that? It should yield 16% overshoot. So that means percentage overshoot is 16%. Okay, and what is overshoot? E raised to minus pi zeta divided by root of 1 minus zeta square. How much is that? 0.16. You solve this and you will get your zeta damping ratio as 0.5038. Okay, 0.5038. Right. So now we can identify our dominant pole. So there will be a symmetrical and complex conjugate one located here. We will not consider that for the time being. Okay, you can consider either this thing or its complex conjugate pole, only one. No need to bother about the other right now. So this is the this is the dominant pole, one of the dominant poles, right? What's the real part? What was the second order pole? Minus zeta omega n plus minus j omega n into root of 1 minus zeta square, out of which we know zeta. So the real part will become minus 0.5038 omega n. Omega n is unknown. Okay, so this point is minus 0.5038 omega n. Okay, and what will be the imaginary part? Imaginary part, if you substitute, you will get j 0.8638 omega n. Okay, so if we can find what is omega n, we can know what are the dominant pole pairs, right? So that means we obtain a second order equivalent approximation of this feedback configuration. Okay, and then we can apply what are the given conditions. Okay, so how can you find omega n? So you see, this is a dominant closed loop pole. It is on the root locus. What's the condition? Any point is on the root locus only if the total angle, the net angle at that point is 180 degree, plus or minus 180. Okay, so you calculate that. So you connect, you join all these open loop poles with that particular dominant pole. Okay, so you can calculate what is theta 1, theta 2, and theta 3. Theta 1, theta 2, and theta 3. Okay, so what will be theta 1? Theta 1 will be 90 plus tan inverse. Opposite side is 0.86. Sorry, opposite side is this much height. This much height is 0.5038 divided by 0.8638. Okay, minus. Why minus sign? Because these are the net angle contributed by a poles. Okay, we know if you have something like this, say s plus a by s plus b, what is the net angle? Angle due to the numerator part minus angle due to denominator part. Okay, so poles being in the denominator will always contribute negative angles, okay, or lagging angle, right? So that is why minus sign here. So if you solve this, you will get theta 1 as minus 149.74. Okay, similarly, what will be theta 2? Theta 2 will be what? Minus tan inverse opposite side. How much is opposite side? 0.8638 omega n divided by adjacent side. What is adjacent side? 4 minus 0.5038 omega n. Okay. Then finally, what will be theta 3? Again, minus tan inverse opposite side. Opposite side is 0.8638 omega n. 0.8638 omega n divided by adjacent side. How much is the adjacent side? 6 minus 0.5038 omega n. Okay. So the sum of these angles at the dominant pole has to be 180 plus or minus 180. Okay. So that means theta 1 plus theta 2 plus theta 3 must be equal to 180 degrees. Okay. Then only it can be on the root locus, because that's the condition which comes from the angle condition. The net angle at the root locus point has to be 180 degrees. Right. So if you substitute all these things, what will you get? Minus 149.74 minus tan inverse 0.8638 omega n divided by 4 minus 0.5038 omega n minus tan inverse 0.8638 omega n divided by 6 minus 0.5038 omega n must be equal to 180. Plus or minus 180. Okay, it will be both one and the same only, right? So I will take here minus 180. So now what I can do, I can take this minus 180 to the left side of the equal sign and take the tangent terms to the right side. So what will you get? You will get 59.75 equals what? Tan inverse 0.8638 omega n by 4 minus 0.5038 omega n plus tan inverse 0.8638 omega n whole divided by 6 minus 0.5038 omega n. Okay, how can we solve this? Tan A plus B. What is tan of A plus B? Tan of A plus B is tan A plus tan B. Tan A plus tan B divided by 1 minus tan A tan B. Okay, so you can apply that. So taking tangent of 59.75, what will you get? It will be 1.7147 equal to, so you're taking tan inverse, this thing becomes this part only. You will get 0.8638 omega n divided by 4 minus 0.5038 omega n plus tan B. It will be what? 0.8638 omega n divided by 6 minus 0.5038 omega n whole divided by 1 minus tan A tan B. That means 0.8638 square omega n square divided by 4 minus 0.5038 omega n into 6 minus 0.5038 omega n. Okay, how will you solve this? Take the LCM and simplify that. Okay, so when you take the LCM and simplify, do the simplification, eventually you will get an equation like this. 0.0152 omega n square minus 10.076 omega n plus 24 equal to 0, which is a quadratic equation. And if you solve this, you will get your undamped natural frequency as 2.3914 radians per second. This will be the admissible value of omega n. When you solve quadratic equation, you will get two values, okay, out of which this is the admissible value. Okay, so now you see our dominant pole was unknown because omega n we didn't know. So what will be the actual dominant pole? We can substitute that. Okay, now the dominant pole will be what? Therefore, dominant poles are at S equals minus theta omega n plus minus j omega n into root of 1 minus theta square. So we know what is theta value. Theta value was how much? 0.5038. Theta value was 0.5038. Omega n value is 2.3914. So where will be our dominant poles? Our dominant poles will be at minus 1.2047 plus minus j 2.0657. Okay, so this gives you the approximate second order equivalent for the given third order plant. Okay, now we are given some conditions. What is that? Design a PD compensator to yield 16% overshoot. Okay, with a threefold reduction in settling time. Okay, with a threefold reduction in settling time. So what's the original settling time? How can we find that settling time? Settling time is what is that settling time? 4 divided by theta omega n. How much is theta omega n now? 1.2047. Okay, so we substitute that 4 by 1.2047. So the original settling time is how much? 3.3203 seconds. Okay, now we are asked what to design. So blah blah blah, so that there is a threefold reduction settling time. So what is the new settling time? Ts new will be 1/3 of that, 3.3203. How much will be that? That will be around 1.1067 seconds. Okay, so now what happened? You see, settling time is new. That means somewhere here is the new dominant pole. It is not on the root locus. So that means root locus has to be reshaped so that the root locus passes through this desired dominant pole. Okay, so now we will get, we have to find what is the desired dominant pole. Okay, so Ts new is this thing. That means this is nothing but 4 divided by theta into omega n new. Why theta is not changing? Because in the question is given, we have to have 16% overshoots. Overshoot remains the same. Okay, that means you are moving along the radial line. Okay, overshoot is remaining the same, means you are moving along the radial line. Okay, understood what I'm saying? See, this is the S-plane. Where's the S-plane? Where's our S-plane? S-plane is here, right? So that means you are moving radially because overshoot is not changing, right? So initially we were at this point. Now we are at this point. Okay, so root locus passed through this particular point. Now it has to be reshaped so that it passes through this particular design point. Okay, so that's what we are doing here. Okay, so we have to find what is your omega nu. So theta remains the same. Theta will be same as 0.5038. Okay, so that means your new omega n will be how much? Your new omega n will be 7.1741 radians per second. Okay, so this is a new undamped natural frequency. So where are the desired dominant poles? Desired dominant poles. Desired dominant poles. Where will be they? They will be at S equals minus theta omega n nu plus minus j omega n nu into root of 1 minus theta square. Okay, so just substitute this value. You will get your desired dominant poles as at minus 3.6143 plus minus j 6.1971. Okay, these are the desired dominant pole. Okay, so our root locus should pass through this point. Right now, is it passing through? No, because this is the desired dominant pole. Okay, so that means we have to make the root locus pass through the desired dominant pole. So if root locus is to pass through this particular point, what's the condition? The net angle at minus 3.6143 plus j 6.197 has to be 180 degree, plus or minus 180 degree. Let us calculate what is the angle at that point, net angle at that point. Okay, sigma g omega, right? So this is somewhere minus 3.6143, right? And this should be j 6.1971. So where are the actual poles? The system was S. So we had one open loop pole here. then one at -4, and one at -6. Okay, so now you calculate what's the net angle at that point beside dominant pole. Okay, so this is theta 1, theta 2, theta 3. So what will be theta 1 minus of, again keep in mind these are pole angles. Okay, so minus of 90 plus tan inverse 3.1643 by 6.1971. Okay, so you can calculate what your theta 1, theta 2, and theta 3 are. If you calculate, you will get theta 1 as minus 120.25 degree. Theta 2 will be minus 86.43 degrees. And theta 3 will be minus 68.94. Okay, so what's the net angle? Angle at desired dominant pole. Desired dominant pole. How much? Theta 1 plus theta 2 plus theta 3. How much will be that? That will be around minus 275.62 degree, which is not equal to plus or minus 180. That means there's an angle deficiency. So if you can make this net angle as plus or minus 180, then this desired dominant pole will be on the root locus. Right now, it is not on the root locus. Okay. So how can we make this point to lie on the root locus? By reshaping the root locus. How can we reshape the root locus? By adding a compensator 0. That is why a PD compensator is used. It will improve the transient response specifications. Okay. It will improve the transient response specifications. We had seen that in the beginning. Okay. It improves the transient response. Okay. That's the purpose of a PD compensator, right? So let us see now what we have to do. So this is the net angle. Okay. So how much is the angle deficiency there? How much is the angle deficiency? Angle deficiency. How can you find that? You add 180 degree minus 275.62 degree plus 180. So how much is the angle deficiency? It is. So when you do this thing, you will get you will get a value of minus 95.62. Okay. So keep in mind minus 95.62 is the negative angle. So that should be cancelled by the compensator 0 angle. Okay. So angle efficiency will be plus 95.62. 95.62. Did you understand what I said? When you do this calculation, you will get a net angle of minus 95.62. Okay. So what is the angle efficiency? That has to be brought to 0 value. So minus 95.62 is there. How can we make it to 0? How can we make it 0? By adding plus 95.62 degree to that. So the angle efficiency is 95.62 degree. Who will give that 95.62? The compensator 0 has to give. Okay. Which has to be provided. By the compensator 0. Because the zeros will always give. See, zeros being in the numerator will always give positive angle. Okay. By the compensator 0 at S equals minus ZC. Okay. So that means here is our dominant pole, that is desired dominant pole, that is around say minus 3.6143, and this is J 6.1971. Okay. So an extra angle of 95.62 must be provided by the compensator 0. Okay. So where should I place the compensator 0? It is greater than 90. It is greater than 90. So if I put here, what will be the angle extended by the compensator 0? Less than 90. Right? It will be less than 90. If I put here, the angle will be plus 90. So I should place my compensator 0 where? At this particular point. Minus ZC. Okay. So now you extend the line. Okay. So this must be how much? This must be 95.62. Okay. So we know this much angle is 90. Okay. So what happens from this? If you apply trigonometry, you will get tan. What? Tan what? Tan 5.62. should be what? Opposite side. What is opposite side? Opposite side is 3.6143 minus this position, minus the 0 position. Okay, so you will get 3.6143 minus ZC divided by adjacent side. Adjacent side is nothing but 6.1971. So if you solve this, you will get your compensator 0 to be at 3.0044. Okay, so we had found the compensator 0 to be at 3.0044. Okay, so what will be the system right now? So here we have a summing point. Here there is a compensator whose 0 is at S plus 3.0044. Okay, and we are given with our plant. What is the plant? K divided by, what is the plant? K divided by S into S plus 4 into S plus 6. S plus 6. Okay, so this system will, this closed loop system will meet the desired specifications. What are the desired specifications? Overshoot must be 16% with a 3-4 reduction settling time. Okay, so keep in mind, when we consider dominant poles, it is assumed that all higher order poles are negligible. Okay, so the accuracy of the value depends on all these assumptions, right? So for that, we have to do a simulation and see whether it meets our actual assumptions. Okay, if the assumptions are not met, then the accuracy will be at stake. Okay, so this closed loop system along with the PD compensator S plus 3.004 will give the desired performance. Now you see what is the value of gain K. So here you can associate gain K either with the plant or with the compensator. Okay, either way it is fine. Why? Because eventually you have to cascade. These two are in cascade, so they will get multiplied. Okay, now we are left out with one more part. That is, we have to find what is the gain K value. How will you find the gain K value? From the magnitude condition. Magnitude condition. What is K? K is nothing but 1 divided by mod GSHS. Where? At the dominant pole. Desired dominant pole. What is the desired dominant pole? Minus 3.6143 plus or minus J 6.1971. You just put up, just take any one value. Okay. If you do that, you will get K as 47.5017. Okay. So with K equal to 47.5017, this closed loop compensator system will give the desired specifications that can be verified from the step response plot. Okay, so this completes the design of a PD compensator. So as I said before, PD compensator will have to have some active circuitry, active circuits, right? We can implement that only with op-amps and other additional power supplies, right? So the choice of an active or passive compensator depends upon many factors like the transfer function, the cost, the weight, the desired performance, and interface that you need to have between the compensator and other hardware. Okay, so all these factors have to be taken into account whether to decide whether we have to go for an active compensator, which is a PD compensator, or a passive compensator, which is a lead compensator. So now we will take up a lead compensator. Okay, so the lead problem with the lead compensator is that there are no unique solutions. There can be infinite solutions. Okay, there can be infinite solutions because it will give only an approximate performance, right, when compared with a PD compensator. PD compensator is now unique. We got one specific value. My S is equal to minus of 3.0044. That was fixed, right? But in the case of a lead compensator, which is an approximation, there can be many solutions. Okay, so we will take up now a lead compensator design. So let us take up a question. Design a lead compensator. Design a lead compensator for the system shown below. For the system shown below, that will reduce the settling time by a factor of 2. 2 while maintaining 30% overshoot. While maintaining 30% overshoot. Okay. So here also using root locus approach remains the same. Okay. So this is the system given. K divided by S into S plus 4 into S plus 6 whole divided by S plus 6 plus minus. So this is R of S. This is C of S. Okay. So this system has to be modified. Okay, we have to incorporate a compensator here, lead compensator here, so that the total compensated system, closed loop system, will meet the desired specifications. So, okay, so how will you start with? So you are given some conditions here. 30% overshoot is given. Okay, so percentage overshoot is equal to 30, which means what? E raised to minus pi zeta by root of 1 minus zeta square is 0.3. Okay. So what is the order of this system? It is a third order. Means we have to find its second order approximate equivalent system. Okay, by finding the dominant pole pair, right? That is why we are given this condition. Okay, so from here, what will you get? You will get your damping ratio as 0.3578, right? So where will be the dominant pole? Original dominant. So this is for the second order given plant. Okay, original dominant pole. Dominant pole will be at S is equal to minus 0.3578 omega n plus minus j 0.9337 omega n. Okay, so this is the dominant pole. Now let us draw the root locus for this. Sigma j omega. Open loop poles are at 0, minus 4, minus 6. Okay, we know what will be the root locus shape. One will be going to minus infinity. One starts from here, one starts from here. Okay, it will be going like this, right? So now we have to find where is our dominant pole. So dominant pole is somewhere here. Okay, keep in mind there will be a symmetrically opposite pole here as well. Okay, we just need to consider only one. Okay, so now what next? If this is a dominant pole and dominant close to pole, and if it is on root locus, the net angle has to be plus or minus 180. Okay, so you calculate what is omega n by joining all the open loop poles with this particular dominant pole with the other open loop poles. So this is theta 1, theta 2, and theta 3. Okay, so again as before, what will be theta 1? Theta 1 will be minus 110.96. You can calculate that. Minus of 90 plus tan inverse. What is the imaginary part? Imaginary part is j 0.9337 omega n. Okay, so you can calculate that how much it will be. Fine. And theta 2 will be how much? Minus tan inverse 0.9337 omega n divided by this distance. This point is minus 0.3578 omega n. 4 minus 0.3578 omega n. Okay, and what will be theta 3? Theta 3 will be minus tan inverse 0.9337 omega n divided by 6 minus 0.3578 omega n. Okay, so net angle has to be equal to plus or minus 180. So theta 1 plus theta 2 plus theta 3 must be equal to 180 plus or minus 180. Okay, substitute all these things, you will get something like this. Minus, when you substitute all these things, you will get 69.04 equals tan inverse 0.933, or I will write in terms of theta 2 plus theta 3. Okay, so take tangent on both sides. Tan of 69.04 will be what? Tan theta 2 plus tan theta 3 divided by 1 minus tan theta 2 into tan theta 3. Okay, so if you solve these things, you will get eventually your omega n as 2.8145 radians per second. Okay, so what are the dominant poles? Dominant poles are S is equal to minus theta omega n plus minus j omega n into root of 1 minus theta square. Okay, theta value we know, omega n we just found. If you substitute that, you will get minus 1.007 plus minus j 2.6278. Okay, this is the desired, this is the actual original dominant pole. Now what next? What's the question? So that it will reduce the settling time by a factor of 2. Okay, so settling time for the given second order approximate system. Okay, how much is settling time? 4 by theta omega n, or 4 divided by 1.007. How much is that? That will be 3.9721 seconds. Okay, now that has to be reduced by a factor of 2. That means new settling time. Ts new is what? 1 by 2 into 3.9721. How much will you get? You will get that as 1.986 seconds. Okay, that is the new set. That should be the new settling time. Okay, so that means that is nothing but 4 divided by theta into a new omega n, because you are maintaining the damping ratio same. Okay, so the changing parameter is omega n value only. So what will be the omega new? Zeta value we know. We are that is around 0.357. Okay, so what will be your omega n new? Your omega n new will be 5.6291 radians per second. 5.6291 radians per second. Okay, so now we can find where should be the desired dominant pole. Okay, so we are asked to design so that it has a damping ratio of overshoot of 30% and a settling time, reduced settling time. Okay, so from these two conditions we found where should be the new omega n. So where will be the desired dominant pole? Desired dominant poles will be what? At S is equal to minus theta into omega n nu plus minus j omega n nu into root of 1 minus theta square. Okay, so you can substitute that and you will see your new desired dominant poles are at minus 2.014 plus minus j 5.2564. Okay, so minus j plus or minus j 5.2564. Right now, so what was our open loop plant? Our open loop plant was like this: k divided by s into s plus 4 into s plus 6. Okay, so when you choose a lead compensator, there is no hard and fast rule. Okay, you can keep your compensator 0 and pole anywhere you wish. If you fix a particular point for compensator pole, accordingly you can calculate your compensator 0. So anywhere you can fix. Okay, so that means if I want, I can assume my compensator 0 is at s plus 2. So if I do some calculation, I will get corresponding value of where the compensator pole has to be. Okay, or you can choose a compensator 0 so that you cancel any of these poles. Okay, so if you cancel that, then your system order will remain lower. Otherwise, what happens? Say something. For example, you are getting say s plus 2, and assume that you got by calculation say something like x plus 30 point blah blah blah. Okay, originally the system was third order. Now the order has increased. Okay, so instead of doing that, I will go for an approach wherein I will choose the compensator 0 so that it cancels with one of the plant poles. Okay, so that order remains the same. Fine. So let me ask you, I will take let the compensator 0. Let the compensator 0 be at s equal to minus z, and I will take it so that that compensator 0 cancels with the pole at 4. Okay, at minus 4. Okay, so now I know my compensator 0 is at s plus 4. So if I do the pole 0 map, what's the desired pole? Desired dominant pole is at this point. Okay, that is minus 2.014, and this is j 5.2564. Where are the open loop poles? Open loop poles were at 0, then -4, and at -6. Okay. Now that I have chosen my compensator 0 to be at -4, what happens? The compensator 0 at -4 and the planned pole at -4 gets cancelled. Right? Okay. So now we can calculate what is the net angle at the desired dominant pole. This is θ2 and this is θ1. Okay. So if you can calculate the net angle, what will be your θ1? θ1 will be -110.96 degree and θ2 will be -52.82 degree. So what is the net angle at that point at the desired dominant pole? It will be θ1 plus θ2. That means -163.78 degree. Okay. So it is not plus or minus 180. That means right now it is not on the root locus. So there, how much is the angle deficiency? Angle deficiency is, how will you find angle deficiency? Angle deficiency at desired dominant pole will be what? Will be -163.78 plus 180. That means 16.22. So it has to be made 0. That means angle deficiency has to be -16.22. Who will give that -16.22? The compensator pole should give. Okay, the compensator pole should give an angle of -16.22 degree. Okay, so which has to be provided by the lead compensator pole at S equals minus BC. Okay, so now again we will redraw sigma g omega. So this is the desired dominant pole minus 2.014 and this is J 5.2564. Okay, so it is -16.22. That should be contributed by the compensator pole. Okay, so where should I place? If I place here, angle will be greater than 90. If I place the compensator pole here, angle will be plus 90. So I have to place, I have to keep the compensator pole somewhere here. Okay, so this is my compensator pole minus BC. Okay, so that it contributes an angle of 16.22. Okay, now everything is not just by a trigonometric relation. Tan of 16.22 must be what? 5.2564 opposite side divided by adjacent side. What is the adjacent side? PC minus 2.014. 2.014 is there, right? So PC minus 2.014. If you solve that, you will get your PC as at 20.083. Okay, so what's the compensator transfer function? GC of S, that is nothing but S plus 4 divided by S plus 20.083. Okay, so our system should be like this. This is the compensator. Okay, S plus 4 divided by S plus 20.083, and we had our plant K divided by S into, what was that? S into S plus 4 into S plus 6. Okay, with a unity feedback. Plus minus. Fine. Now what next? We have to calculate what's the value of gain K. How? By using the magnitude condition. K is 1 divided by mod GSHS. At the desired dominant pole. Desired dominant pole is minus 2.014 plus J 5.2564. Okay. So what do you get? Mod of S into S plus 4 into S plus 6 into S plus 20.083 divided by S plus 4 at S is equal to minus 2.014 plus J 5.2564. If you do that, you will get 698.782. So with K equal to 698.782, the closed loop system, compensated closed loop system will give the desired performance. Okay, and that is what you are seeing here from the MATLAB step response plot. Okay, so for the closed loop system with the compensator, we'll give an overshoot of 28.9%. We have designed for 30%, but as I said before, the number of decimals that we discard after the decimal point, as well as the validity of our approximation, that higher order poles are far apart from the dominant poles. All these factors will matter. Okay, so we have seen that our overshoot is 28.9%. And what is settling time? Settling time was 1.98. So our desired settling time we had calculated, that was around 1.986. Okay, so it is matching. Okay, so in this way you can design both either a PD or a lead compensator. Okay. So as I said before, the choice of an active or passive compensator revolves around the cost, its weight, the transfer function, the desired performance, and interface between the compensator and the other hardware. Okay. Now, as I said before, there can be infinite possible solutions for a lead compensator because they are not unique. Okay. So if you try to design different lead compensators, what will be the difference? Basic difference, it will be in the static error constants and the gain required to reach the design point. Okay. Otherwise, it will give you more or less the same performance. Okay. So for the same system, let me show you one more thing. Okay. So here, what was my approach? I chose my compensator 0 so that it cancels with one of the system poles. Okay. What if I am choosing a compensator 0 like this? Suppose you are choosing a compensator 0 like this. S plus 5. Okay. So S plus 5, and this is my compensator pole at S plus 42.96. So here what happens? There are no poles or cancellations. Okay. Our system was K divided by S into S plus 4 into S plus 6. Okay. In the approach which I showed you, I had deliberately chosen a compensator 0 at S equal to 4 so that compensator 0 and the planned pole at -4 gets cancelled. Okay. See, no one told me there are infinite possible solutions. Suppose you are choosing your compensator 0 to be at S equal to -5. Then what happens? There will be no poles or cancellation. So what happens is that eventually your planned order gets increased. Okay. Originally it was third order planned. Now it has become a fourth order system. Okay. That's the difference. So now if you solve for this, what will be your gain K? Your gain K will be 1423. Okay. In our case, it was around 690, what was that? 698, some value. So here K is around this value. Okay. That's the only difference. Right? And the shape will be, and the root locus will be shaped in such a way that it passes through the desired dominant pole. Okay. That's the only difference. Okay. So in the next session, we will take up designing a PI, proportional integral compensator, and its passive equivalent, which is called a lag compensator. So I hope this is clear to all. Okay. So you can try some more numerical examples and get confidence. Okay. Thank you.